Hi, everybody. I'm Al Bernstein, and welcome to another edition of our Hot Topic show, where I get a chance to talk about a few of the topics that are on boxing fans' minds. And I want to talk about something that could get lost in the shuffle a little bit. But an interesting and I think kind of remarkable event that happened just recently, and that was Nonito Donaire, a future Hall of Famer to be sure, who's had many rebirths in his boxing career. Uh, and now at age 42, he's had another. After a 2-year layoff of not fighting, he went down to Argentina and faced a credible foe and a fighter who was 17, 2, and 1, and a 28-year-old, and he won. Former flyweight contender who was stepping up in weight and a good fighter. And Nonito there goes down there, wins the fight. He was controlling the fight and really dominating it. And then there was a clash of heads, and he got a cut, and they went to the scorecards, and he won the decision handily. Now, usually when a 42-year-old fighter says, I'm going to come back after a 2-year layoff and try to do it, you would be obviously skeptical and say it's a bad idea. I am less skeptical of Nonito Donaire because, number one, he's had all these rebirths, and number two, he keeps himself in impeccable condition, and he has an amazing resilience. And he's one of the fighters who stepped back down in weight at a much later age when most fighters are going up in weight. And I would contend that had he not gone up in weight as much as he did, he wouldn't even have suffered any of the losses that he did, or very few of them, because and he hasn't had that many, but I think a lot of it was due to stepping too far up in weight classes. I was there when he burst on the boxing scene years ago with that upset win over Vic Darchinyan when he landed that hellacious left hook. And by the way, Nonito Donaire has one of the best left hooks of any boxer that I've announced over all these many years. And that was a remarkable performance. But I have to, and I'm going to say this, not to make me look smart, but just because I think it was a true thing. Nonito Donaire deserved to have that fight. And I said to a number of my colleagues beforehand, I never predict the winner of a fight when I'm announcing it, but I said to a number of my colleagues, Nonito Donaire is likely to win this fight. And that was at a time when Darchinyan was dominating, because I just felt like his weapons were such, and his height and reach and the way he fought was something that could get the job done. And he certainly did. So Nonito Donaire, now at 42, wins what was for an interim title, but that's all, forget that for a moment. But that might lead him to a world title shot. And I'm going to say that it would not surprise me if Nonito Donaire, before he does in fact officially retire, wins one more championship. It could happen. Hot topic number two, a champion that did defend his title and very successfully was Richardson Hitchens, who defended his 140-pound title against George Kambosos in a very impressive performance. It was a fight that I said beforehand was kind of a gimme fight for Richardson Hitchens. Kambosos has fought, tough competition. He had the one upset win over Teofimo Lopez, but has mostly failed against the top opposition. He's failed, and at this juncture, the idea of him getting a shot at 140 pounds, which wasn't even his normal division, over the dozens and dozens of great 140 pounders that are out there, didn't seem like the fairest thing on the planet. But you know what? It happens. It was, I understand giving somebody a showcase fight in their first defense. It's happened a million times in boxing, and it's very good marketing, which we'll get to in just a moment. But during that fight, what Richardson Hitchens did, and this was his part of the case, he fought extraordinarily well. I mean, he put together. I've announced a couple of Richardson Hitchens fights, and he was very impressive when he won the title against Liam Powell. But I don't know, everyone knows he has great skills, but he was able to put it together in a very fine fashion in that fight. Again, Kambosos is not the toughest, but a dogged fighter who is going to bring what he can to the game. And it doesn't diminish the fact that what Hitchens did technically and showing his skill level was very impressive. All of that on its own would be fine, and we would be waiting anxiously for the next fight that Hitchens would have, which we presume will be against a more highly skilled and appropriate 140-pound contender. Well, the story didn't stop at that fight, because right after the fight, Hitchens announced grandly that he was now a free agent in terms of promotional ties. And it was a very pointed announcement during the interview afterward, and clearly was something that he intended to say, not a spur of the moment thing. Now, Richardson Hitchens has every right, if his contract with Matchroom Boxing is his promoter is up, then he has every right to announce to the world that he is a free agent, if that's the way you want to do that. But apparently, that was not something that had been discussed with Matchroom, and where their negotiations were at that point to continue remains to be seen. It created a media fire because Eddie Hearn, the head of Matchroom, was distressed that Hitchens had announced this publicly, and he said, kind of just dissed a little bit by the way it was done and by the fact that Hitchens was thinking of leaving. Now, a couple of things about this. Of course, Richardson Hitchens has a right to be with any promoter on the planet if he's not contractually bound ultimately with someone. There is one thing that should be said, and Eddie Hearn did a pretty good job of stating his case on several interviews. Matchroom Boxing, by any objectives measure and standard, did a remarkable job of promoting Richardson Hitchens. When he came to them, they moved him to a world title shot within just a few fights. He produced, which is all the credit to him, in winning against Liam Powell on foreign soil, and won the title. He was given the opportunity. Matchroom has also put him in prestigious locations like Madison Square Garden. Sometimes they had to come out of pocket frequently for opponents and to get him to certain places, and probably lost money, but that's part of promoting. You can't cry for promoters when they lose money, because guess what? Then they make money. But nonetheless, the effort was made. And from a purely objective standpoint, they did a very good job of promoting Richardson Hitchens. So I think that part of it is kind of something that needs to be said, only because if we're evaluating this story, it's a factor. Now, again, having said that, Richardson Hitchens can be anywhere he wants if he's contractually available to do it. It is conceivable that announcing it publicly, as he did, if he was negotiating a deal with Matchroom, might not have been the best strategy, but that remains to be seen. Richardson Hitchens is a terrific fighter, very talented, and in his late 20s, looks to have a very, very bright future. He is not yet a star in the sport of boxing, but could very well be one, and maybe even a superstar. Who knows? But we will see how that plays out. We'll see how his business relationships play out. But it has created a media storm, at least here in this last week or two. And I think we probably haven't heard the end of that part of the story. And we'll probably find out in the coming weeks how how that is going to play out. And nowadays in boxing, in addition to what happens in the ring, there's just as much discussion about what happens outside the ring with the various promoters and fighters interacting with each other. Well, that's our edition of Hot Topics. If you like this content and the content on the Salita Promotions YouTube channel, please subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time.